Hey, welcome back. I am super excited to introduce you to this incredible woman, Sherry Nichols. Sherry is the founder and CEO of Divine Love Institute, and she's a spiritual coach, a sound healer, and an award winning author dedicated to empowering ambitious women over 45. She's got 15 years of experience, and she's created a 7-step sparkle system that's been featured on CBS, KCAL 9, and other major TV platforms. She guides women through heartache to rediscover their confidence and joy. She's passionate about the transformative power of divine love. Sherry believes she can set individuals free to embrace the life that they truly love. Welcome, Sherry.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Amira. First of all, I just want to say what a beautiful thing that you are doing for so many people, the impact that it's going to make on people to harness your intuition. That is so key with everything that we're doing and with the way that the world is right now and for happiness. So thank you so much for including me and for allowing me to be part of this beautiful summit.
You are all about that, and you might not wrap it up in that package. I think love and intuition are probably really closely aligned in that I think that when we love ourselves, and or the connection to the greater power and love, there's a alignment and an integration of our natural abilities of just knowing and being in a flow. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that oftentimes we block ourselves from that. And that's where the problems really start. I think for a lot of people, it's trying to do things in our own knowing, trying to do things and push things through with what we have learned in the past and not allowing ourselves to really tap in to that power that is so great, that is there for us, that can make our life so much easier. And so, one of the things that I'm really thrilled about being a part of this for really your summit here is to give people, for me, what the ultimate superpower is and to really help them feel more confident and courageous and clear that they have a path to this and that they know how to connect to it. Because as I said, harnessing that intuition, Dr. Mira, the world is changing, right? We were just
Yeah.
talking about this, how things are speeding up and how you've got to learn to pivot and you've got to learn to do so many things. And oftentimes you might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, what am I going to do here? What's the best thing to do here? And there are so many choices to make when you need to pivot, and especially to do things in a new way. Let's, without even saying necessarily the word pivot, but to entertain doing things in a new way. And there can be confusion with that and a feeling of insecurity and doubt. I don't know about you,
Oh,
but
big time.
right?
Self-doubt, and that's the one thing that I hear from most people is they doubt themselves in whether to trust their intuition, but even making decisions. And you know what? I think we've gotten ahead of ourselves. I want to hear how you got started. I mean,
Thank you. Yes,
speaking of
I know. In
self-doubt,
fact, this is such a juicy subject that we
I
just
know,
both
but
want
we
to
want to
dive.
let everybody know how you got to this point. How did you come to this place?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So actually, I think that you and those of you listening will love this story because it is an example of a worst, like the worst day you could ever have and the best day you could ever have. If you could imagine that happening within the same 24-hour period. And so I want to just take you back to a time. Let's just have you imagine that you are sitting in the rain. It's just a stormy, dark sky, and you are crying your eyes out, just shaking uncontrollably. Imagine a time where the worst thing you could imagine has happened for you. You feel devastated, absolutely soul shattered and humiliated. And imagine, if you will, that this has all happened to you at a retreat. Imagine that you are at a retreat with a group that you had felt a close connection to, that you had paid well to be a part of, and that not only had you been publicly shamed by your mentor, but that she had asked the other 11 participants to openly annihilate your character as well. People you trusted, people you had spent a couple of years with. Everything that you had shared over those 2 years was from really the deepest part of your soul and your heart. That was me. That
Uh,
was me. I could barely breathe sitting in that rain, feeling, oh my gosh, Dr. Mira, so I can still remember just the pain of that humiliation. And I just had felt like my soul was smushed. And I had joined the group because I wanted to grow, I wanted to learn.
So it was
Uh,
personal development or spiritual training or
it was a transformation group,
okay.
a transformation group. And I was not, aside from the learning and the transforming, because a few years earlier from that, my marriage had fallen apart. And I had discovered that 6 days before I was going in for in vitro. So that was a huge betrayal in and of itself. And because of that, I was on this journey to really learn and discover, because I had made the decision that I wanted to do something to help other people, to help other women move through the pain and the hurt. And so this was part of that journey, was being a part of this group. And I wanted to be in a community where I had this feeling that I longed for a community to belong to really feel supported, to really feel accepted, and to feel loved.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever felt that way.
Absolutely, and I think every single person alive is looking for love, and we're looking for it in ways of being validated by our peers, by our mentors, by family, and I don't know about you, I know a lot of people that didn't get validated by their family. Now, as much as I didn't get the kind of love the way I expected it, I think it was also my teacher, or it propelled me to take steps and paths that I wouldn't have otherwise, right? If I had gotten everything from my family. But it
Yeah, and
leads me to asking you about trusting your intuition with, let's say, your marriage, your relationship, and then with this group, you had trusted your intuition to take you into those dynamics. And then I'm just sensing that you must have felt incredibly betrayed by
oh,
yourself, even.
yeah, I don't think I was at that awareness yet at that level when I was.
You were pissed.
But, well, you know what? No, actually, I was shamed. I felt
Shame.
incredibly shamed, the humiliation and the deep sense of betrayal. This mentor who I
Mhm.
had chosen to study with and who I really felt I was putting my trust in, and these small group of people. And as I was saying, the betrayal I felt from the man I'd been married to was heartbreaking, right? Just heartbreaking to find out that he was living another life with somebody else 6 days before I'm going in for in vitro. But this betrayal with this group that I had really invested time and energy and resources with, I don't know, Dr. Mirai, what I just want to say, it was even more deep of a betrayal. It felt like a soul betrayal. Felt like a soul betrayal. And so, as far as the intuition goes, that's the interesting part about it. I had been guided to become part of this group. And so it was very confusing for me. But I will say that when I was sitting there in the dark, stormy skies, just sobbing, something made me look up, and I saw this patch of blue, light sky in the distance. And every part of my soul, every cell in my body just screamed at me to get to the light. And I think if you've ever been in a dark situation, you want to get to the light, right? You want to get to that light because it feels so bad to be in the dark. And that was where I was at with that. And so I got in my car and I drove towards the light. And on the way, the most life-changing thing, that it wasn't life-changing yet, but it was a precursor to it, a prelude to it, is that as I was driving, something caused me to suddenly look to the left. And then on the left side of the road, stormy sky, I see this white cross with the words above it that said, "Jesus saves." Now, the sky was so dark and the sign was so white. It was like a neon light that was just like popping out at me. And then just as suddenly, I was guided to look to the right. And to the right, the sun was shining over these red rock mountains of Sedona, and the most spectacular and gorgeous rainbow was arcing over the mountains. And so I literally stopped my car and I pulled over because I knew on a soul level there's something here. But honestly, Dr. Murr, I didn't know what it was because honestly, I believed in God, but I never had a relationship with God. And I certainly never had a relationship with Jesus. As a matter of fact, I was that person. I was agnostic as a teenager, and then I got into more New Age and then believing in God, but never a relationship with Jesus. When people said Jesus saves, I was the one that would be like, oh, come on. I was going the other way with it, just really not accepting it. But there was something about that I could not forget. And this whole thing was so breathtaking. And I just knew there was something in it for me. So I continued back then to where I was staying. And when I got back, all that kind of uplift drained because I had a roommate at this retreat, and the roommate had been escorted to the room and wasn't allowed to talk to me and was removed from the room. And it just brought me right back into the situation that I was in, and that they were kicking me out of the group. They were kicking
That
me
was
out.
for anybody listening, and this is coming up. I feel inclined to talk about this because it raises the hair on the back of my neck with all these charlatans and misguided mentors. I too have had some experiences. In fact, one of them, who was a shaman, actually raped me. And
Oh,
I don't tell this story too often, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but he was literally giving us a juice. I didn't know what it was, but to this day, I don't know exactly. I think it was ecstasy. Now, this isn't the way I wanted to get to love, but it was intended to open your heart chakra,
mhm.
and it paralyzed me. And then he took advantage of that. What was interesting is, speaking of Jesus, is I was nude and I left my body. All of a sudden, it was like a monster or some being or entity came through my body, and my legs came up under my chest, and I just under his chest, and pushed him, and he went flying off me across the room. And I said, "Don't you ever touch me again."
Mm.
And in the ceiling, I had still had those spreckled, what do you call it? Those sparkly ceilings from the
Uh-huh.
80s. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember looking in the ceiling and seeing the Virgin Mary's face. And
Wow.
it sticks with me to this day.
Oh,
That energy, and that force, and that might,
oh yeah.
and the Virgin Mother, the power, the healing force of Jesus and his mother. It's with me. I get it. And I also wanted to address this fact that there are mentors out there that are taking advantage of people and using our intuition and our discernment. Yes, you and I had to learn those lessons, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, I just get so lit up with the unscrupulous marketing and BS that's being shared with people. So
Well, and
take heed,
the
everybody who's listening.
absolutely, and the huge betrayal of it all, and,
Yeah, because you're raw.
you're
You're
raw.
looking for the you're
You're looking like I was looking for love, I was looking for belonging, I was looking for feeling that I was enough, and you develop this relationship, you think, with this mentor that you
right,
trust, and so that kind of a betrayal is just really devastating, and after my roommate was taken out, I just sunk onto the bed and I just cried and sobbed. It was the most miserable night. It was out of state, so it wasn't like I could just go home. And I remember just feeling so alone, just so alone. And so the next day when I got up, I was so miserable, but I kept remembering the white cross and Jesus saves. And as I said, although I'd never had a relationship, I was at this point where I was so deeply depressed and sad. And I just, I decided that I made a decision. It wasn't what I expected to do, but I made a decision that I was going to allow that love of Jesus into my life and into my heart. And so I did. And I would just want to say, this is what I really want you to hear, people listening really understand that I was so miserable. And the minute I let Jesus into my life, into my heart, I made that conscious decision. I felt over the next 24 hours this pouring in of the deepest love that I have ever felt in my life. And it still makes me emotional because I had never felt that love before.
yeah.
And it was everything that I had been searching and seeking to attain. And believe me, I studied all sorts of world religions, all sorts of things. And I got it in that 24 hours. I knew this is the real thing. This is the truth. This is the truth. That love cleansed my soul, took out all the pain, and truly had me smiling again, joyous. And literally 24 hours, I felt peace. I felt safe. I felt protected. I felt all these amazing things. Did the circumstances change?
No, but
But
that was
I changed.
that
Yeah.
horrible experience brought you to Jesus.
So that's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
Within
it was
24 hours. Yeah. It
yeah,
was the worst day and the best day of
I love
my
that.
entire life. And that is why, and I did not feel alone. And what is the
You had
crazy?
your coming to Jesus moment.
I love the coming to Jesus moment. And the craziest thing too is that I felt alive. That's the thing about the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is that like I literally felt alive and I had felt so dead inside before. And the other amazing thing is that I was not triggered at all by the thought of my mentor. This is why I say I truly believe that divine love can transform and heal any hurt that you have in your life and help you to live a life you love because it dissipates. It's impossible. Love and fear, they just can't coexist.
Yeah.
And so when your whole spirit is filled up with that love, then you know what? Anything and everything is possible. And you can absolutely, as we started the conversation, you can pivot, you can think of new things, new ideas can come your way because you're resourced. You're not just having to depend on yourself. You have this supernatural power that provides you with that intuition of what to do, that's guiding you, right? Illuminating your steps and giving you the breadcrumbs so that you're able to move forward. And so after that, and I love how in the Bible, Peter 1:10 says, God made a night and day difference, going from nothing to something and going from rejected to accepted. And I love, to me, that just says it perfectly. because you are always accepted when you're in that love. And that's what Jesus wants to do. He wants you to understand how loved you are. And what you had said, Dr. Amira, about not looking outside yourself for that validation. Not, we all want to be loved, but a lot of times we go about it in the wrong way, or we get on the wrong path. Not
Yeah, looking
making
for love in all
ourselves
the wrong
bad.
places.
We're all doing the best we can all the time,
Yeah,
right?
we're
I'm
looking
sorry, I
for
missed
love
that.
in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
And then we get tangled up in relationships and jobs, and we're doing the job that we thought we'd love or we did once love or my father loved for me, or we're doing things for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, yes. And I want to say that this is why I love Jesus so much and I don't want to be a day without him. But that said, doesn't mean that life's a cakewalk. There's still, because we all live on this planet and there's things happening that continue to bring curveballs and continue to bring speed bumps to what we're doing. But I think just being able to tap in to that level of guidance, direction, love is, to me, gives the greatest intuition you could ever have.
Yeah. Too bad we didn't have it sooner, right? It,
Well, I
it,
think
it,
it's always when it's meant to be. I do believe that.
and I try to think about enhanced intuition. I was highly intuitive as a young girl. But it was invalidated. It was denied. It was rejected by my family. So I shut it off. And I think
Mm,
that's what we do when we're rejected a lot of times, or when we say something or know something and other people don't buy into it or don't accept it. We start little by little shutting off our natural abilities. And it takes a major cosmic two by four to wake us up that we might value some of these aspects. But the way I look at it is intuition is one of those things that we don't really acknowledge, and yet it's the key component driving us and helping us make every decision of our life.
mhm,
We use our analyzer. That's what
mhm.
I call that part of our mind that is our intellect, or that part that is trained. Oh, because somebody said so, this is how you do it. We bypass that natural God-given ability. Maybe that's part of our critical thinking. But if you had enhanced access to intuitive superpowers, what kind of influence or changes do you think that would have made in your life?
To be honest with you, I think I have always had access, like you're saying, you had 'em from a young age. I think the thing that in reflection, what I notice is that I didn't always act on that intuition, just as you're saying, because you start to question
Mhm.
that natural intuitive ability, whether that be that you feel like, oh, this can't possibly be right. There's protocol that says it needs to be done this way, or what will that person think if I do this? Or you doubt yourself. And
Yeah,
I
if you
think,
wanted to wear your hair a different way or dress a style that wasn't so cool at the time, or call somebody or check
yeah,
on somebody, or like you did, you trusted that sign,
yeah,
the big white cross.
yeah.
But if
And
we had enhanced abilities from an early age, how would that be make things different for you?
I think I would say that for me, it would be not necessarily the enhanced ability, because I do feel like I've always had a strong intuition.
Mhm.
It would be more about trusting it, trusting in those intuitions. And what I believe I would have done differently is always wanted to have a talk show like Barbara Walters did, right? I'm aging myself here, but she
Well, it's
was.
funny, I just said her name the other day. I said to somebody, "Listen, I'm no Barbara Walters and obviously not an Oprah Winfrey, but we're gonna
Well,
do this show."
yeah, exactly. And I've always wanted to bring information to people, and I have a curious nature, and I love really being able to bring that forward, to give people hope, and to have what I would call the spiritual awakening and awareness show, be the Barbara Walters of that type of a thing.
Yeah.
And to me, that's still, I'm
The
still,
view,
it's still on my radar. I'm
the
still,
spiritual view,
have
huh?
that dream, but
I
I
love
think I've
it.
done it years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Yeah. That's interesting. I often think if we never had the doubt or we weren't not trusting ourselves, how life would be different.
I think more confidence, more courage, more boldness, really
We'd probably
living.
accomplish more, wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely. And you'd live into who you are meant to be.
And as creators, we're born here as a creator in the likeness and image. So get to it, girlfriends.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Because you really don't know. I heard somebody say for 2024, I know a lot of people say it's the year of more and the year to soar and all that, but I heard somebody say 2024 is the year to look at, you have 24 hours in a day. How can you show up and be your best self in that 24 hours? And that, I don't know, Dr. Mira, how you feel about that, but for me, it just was very impactful because I thought it takes the overwhelm of having to have this big dream and how am I going to get there and how am I going to do this? And a lot of times people shut down with that. But I think along with your sense of what the summit is about with the intuition, so we have 24 hours. Every morning, if we're blessed to wake up and have the day in front of us, in that 24 hours, how can we tap into our intuition and how can we be the best we can be and move things forward in that 24-hour period? 'Cause that's really all that we have in that
I have
month.
an idea. I know you come with a gift, and I think that gift would help us do the most in 24 hours. Would you like to
I
share the gift with us?
I would love it. Thank you so much. Yes. So what I have is what I call the divine love meditation. Taps you into what I call your diamond power, which is that connection to what I call as God, whatever that is for you, that higher source, that truth. And it's a 14-minute meditation that allows you to connect. And as it's a guided meditation and it helps you to get back to center, to get back to wholeness so that you're in a place of peace and a place of calm because it's from that place that you're able to tap into your rest, relax, and create your parasympathetic nervous system, which allows you to come to really make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear and to tap into that intuition.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. And it's free. I'm so happy to share that with you all. And I think you have a link. Is that
Yes,
right, Dr.
absolutely.
Mira?
We'll be dropping the link for people. So, yes, that's key. I think love is, like I said in the very beginning, very much aligned with intuition. It's one and the same, perhaps, depending on our semantics, right? You're a wealth of information. You're an incredible teacher and mentor. And I was
Thank
just
you.
would like to ask you, is there any last words that you would like to share with our audience?
I really would just encourage you to take time to be still and to tap into that presence that I call God, whatever that is for you, and to allow yourself to feel the love and to know that you are love and that you are loved and that it all comes from the core in your heart. Tap into it because that's where it's waiting for you. And from that place, you will show up completely different and be able to develop relationships that you would love to have and have the wisdom to really move forward and do the things that you would love to have in your life.
More success, more abundance, more joy, and love.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that and all your wisdom, your experiences too, the raw ones and the glorious ones. So thank you so much, Sherry, for being here and doing all that you do and sharing
Oh,
with the world.
thank
Thank
you so much for having me. It has just been truly an honor to be a part of your summit. Thank you so
you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you all, the
Blessings. Yeah.
listeners.
Thank you. And
Bye
hey,
now.
y'all, just don't forget, check that link, okay, and get into that divine love meditation ASAP.